Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to talk about Justice League of America from 1997. A lot of people be like, who dat? Who said the what now? You're telling me that there's a Justice League movie before a Justice League movie actually happened? Yes. The only thing of it is that this movie was made for TV. So technically it's a Justice League film, but it's to, of course, be one that probably a lot of people have probably never heard of. And so, with that sitting, I feel I have to go on and explain this movie just because I actually did enjoy it. And so, let me go on and let me talk about Justice League of America 1997. So, we obviously have a team that is to have a base of a submarine in this film, which kind of baffled me. Like, we have these characters that go from this graffiti door down this elevator to a submarine, and I'm like, huh? But like, let me go on and let's break down the Justice League team here. So, for those of you that are thinking that this is going to be a Justice League of America team that has Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman in it, you would be to of course be baffled or confused by this specific Justice League team. This Justice League team goes on, and the most OG member, or more member that people are familiar with, is to be Barry Allen's Flash and quite possibly Martian Manhunter. But Martian Manhunter, physically in alien form, is to not be in much of this film, or is to not really be involved in much of the action in this film. He's much more of a mentorish character that is to kind of be guiding this team throughout most of this film. But so now I'm going to go on and kind of break down this team and break down the villain and break down what's going on in the story so I can figure out ways to best try to break down this film when we talk about it all. So, Martian Manhunter, like I said, he's kind of briefly in this film. He's much more of a mentor. He's to go on and be like kind of like the Charles Xavier of this team in a lot of ways, where he is to go on and tell these certain superheroes, specifically Ice within this film, how he's going to go on and help her and guide her to help her understand how to work her powers so eventually she can become some beneficial person by the end of this film. Because we have this Justice League of America that focuses on Ice, this character called Ice. That if you don't know much about Fire and Ice, you probably will not go on and know much about this Justice League whatsoever, because if you've never seen Justice League Unlimited, you may never have gone on and heard of Fire and Ice. But so, Ice is to go on and be a character that is to give us a full origin, as well as also have us this character that is to help us figure out who the villain of this story is. And then let's go on and let's talk about Barry Allen's Flash within this movie. He is to be a guy who is struggling to make ends meet. He is to go on and be very much a guy trying to get a job throughout this whole entire movie. So, really not, of course, the Barry Allen that most of you are to be familiar with, that is to be working alongside the police force or with the CSI. No, this Barry Allen is just to be a guy who just needs to get a job at some point within this film. If you were to go on and kind of look at the costume, slightly tweakingly different than the Flash that you were probably to go on and logically know here. And also, like the way that he has to kind of like have his head be kind of positioned within this movie just kind of looks very wacky. But anyways, so let's talk about Fire because Fire and Ice. So Fire is a character who is a struggling actress, and so Fire, you would probably look at her in Justice League Unlimited and not quite get the exact same way of how she looks in Justice League Unlimited to this to this made for TV film, but I am to go on and just be like, you know what? Like, I thought that this fire was attractive, and I thought that this fire somewhat looked similar to the Justice League Unlimited thing. Good enough, close enough. I was fine with what they were doing there, because really, I didn't know much about Fire and Ice anyways, because if they messed their whole backstories or whatever, I don't think it really mattered, because when going down the line of all these other characters, there was clearly some copyrighted things that they tried to just not try to make these people as clearly their comic book counterparts as humanly possible, because of course to avoid some legal things. So let's go on down the road here. So we have Atom. Atom is also to be involved in this Justice League, the guy who goes on and shrinks himself down to size. And so we get like a kind of Ant-Man like character that only shrinks himself down instead of making himself giant. He just shrinks himself down, and we have to kind of figure out ways to write that into this movie at certain points. And not all the ways of writing this character in is all beneficial, but it's to go on and be quite close enough. He is to, of course, be this science smart guy that I don't think we logically end up using him in a strategy like notion enough in this film, or to really much use him whatsoever, besides him going on and having interest in Tori's character, who is Ice within this film. Going further down the pecking order, we then go on to Guy Gardner, who is actually to look mostly like Kyle Rayner Green Lantern, but has the name of Guy Gardner because of green vest, and that's about it as far as Guy Gardner is concerned. We don't have the bowl haircut. We don't have the like the uh, like the rebel without a cause kind of approach to this Green Lantern. So this character, in a lot of ways, is to look and show us a Kyle Rayner, but has the name of Guy Gardner because of rights. Because so they had to like fuse these Green Lanterns to make them different looking enough to just kind of get into getting around some rights of things. And also, and that kind of irked me, because I'm like, I just want to call this character Kyle Rayner, but I can't because his name is actually Guy. So I have to state the proper name of the movie, of which that is to say Guy within it, but I just want to say Kyle. I do. I was blown away that this movie had Green Lantern constructs within it. I was like, oh my god, you have a chainsaw briefly in this film. You have, as a Green Lantern construct, you have just a number of other things that you were to go on and see as constructs in this film. And I was like, bravo, bravo. I don't care that that it is to be the cheesiest, smallest things. I don't care. I can go on and look at a number of TV shows that don't go on and do anything with constructs with the Green Lantern whatsoever. And in live action TV shows, so I am blown effing away by this. For the time period, for what they try to accomplish in this film, I was to just be like, wow. So we have a Green Lantern in this movie. And I was, yeah. Regardless of how this is to all kind of play out, in my opinion, as well. So for how this is to go on and play out, we see the characters mostly out of costume than within, because there's either personal things going on with them, or we have like the crisis situations that are to deal with the villain in this story, called the Weatherman. And I was like, yeah, I've never gone on and seen the Weatherman, but again, like rights, I was like, well, like we had to kind of cut a corner anyways, and it had to probably be with the villain, who's to be just the Weatherman in this movie. And so I'm like, this Weatherman has a weather manipulator machine, and I was like, okay, I can get behind this. Like, I can be fine with that. Like, and eventually it's all about who is this weatherman? Who could it be? This guy who is going on like the General Zod from Man of Steel and trying to blackmail the planet for $20 million. Who you think you kidnapped? Chelsea Clinton? Yeah. For those of you who are Rush Hour fans, you know where that reference is from. But yeah, so the weatherman is going on here, and he's performing these weather feats. And I believe a lot of his stuff is to go on and seemingly be pre-recorded, so we won't exactly know who this weatherman character is. And when we do actually get to find out who the weatherman is, it's kind of deflating because the reveal is just like, man, that is just not of well put together. That actual reveal. But whatever. I guess they just had to go on and just chuck something together at that point. Uh, but anyways, like the right man of who the weatherman is, like there was something right there. There was something good there. I feel of who the choice was. But anyways, so this Justice League of America movie, I would say, has a lot of filler in it. There's a lot of inner monologue betwixt the Justice League of America members. Like this is almost kind of put up as like almost like a documentary of what is to transpire here. Like it kind of reminds me of kind of other things where it's to go on and make me feel like the West Coast Avengers comic book where they had Gwenpools and like those young West Coast Avenger team, and how they had like the Warriors and the New Warriors during the Civil War crisis, and they had their own kind of reality show kind of going on. So it's like a reality show kind of going on within um, this Justice League of America story to go on and kind of make it feel like The Office, if you guys know what The Office is. So, and that'll probably get a lot of people to groan about that. I get it. But I was to just go on and just enjoy whatever this was. I was to go on and have severely low expectations. And I was to go on and just be like, you know what, if I'm not even thinking about this as 100% a superhero movie because I didn't think they were going to do anything at all of that, then I could just be like, okay, this is just an interesting, just generic film. If it wasn't a superhero thing at all, but once you put the superhero thing in it, I'm just like, okay, like looking at this compared to like a Madam Web, like at least it seems like I got a lot more somewhat superhero stuff than I probably did in like Madam Web, or Madam Web is just a horror movie with a superhero clickbaiting thing in it. So, but I feel that there's a lot more time with these characters in the suits than in the Madam Web film. So believe me, I'm not trying to clickbait you into that. But again, there's just some work to be done if you want to check out this film, regardless of what I have to say. Now that I've recently gone on and seen the Fantastic Four unreleased film compared to this, the Fantastic Four unreleased film, head to toe, has a feel of a comic book movie, regardless of its budget. Whereas this Justice League of America movie, like, has some like parts and pieces of a comic book thing, but is to just try a lot of stuff, and is to do an interesting bit of enough content to like kind of um really get you or me personally to say that at the end of the day, this Justice League of America film was fine. It was okay. At the end of the day, where can you go on and see this movie for how rare it is? I mean rare. Because I dare say I had gone on to try to figure out if there was some app to see this film. Yeah, not so easy. I had gone on to Google and just put in Justice League of America 1997 and then the word watch after that. WATCH, watch. And the thing where I was to go on to was to click to the video section or videos section. And there was an hour and 20-minute thing on there. And I was like, that's got to be the movie. And it was under a website called like Daily Motion or something. And I clicked into that. I watched the movie, saw it, and I was happy. I was pleased. I was pleased because this was out of the normal box of a Justice League team, and it kind of reminded me of Titans, bizarrely. It made me feel like a very low budget Titans like pilot show that just never went anywhere. Um, so like I was to go on and just in my mind break this down as just a show pilot instead of a movie, even though it's kind of a fusing made for TV movie. But yeah, like um that's what sold me. So it's about time for me to sell you on what all breaks down within this entire film. Let me know in the comments below what is to be your favorite either DC comic books live action or animated movie, or what is to be your favorite comic book just show, movie, thing in general. Maybe you are to go on and you are to like a thing that I've already gone and reviewed and like cool, because at the end of the day, uh, whatever you go on and say here does go on and help this video out or this channel out by you just putting something in the comments below. So if you do so, I greatly do appreciate it. But hey, at the end of the day, uh, yeah, like if you were to go on and probably list something down in the comments below, and it's probably been something that I have not gone on and actually reviewed, maybe I may go on and actually look into it because it just may very well be a thing that I'm like, yeah, I never really thought about going into that specific movie. But then also, there's probably going to be a lot of people that are to probably go on and probably say like Stripperella or Black Scorpion or some superhero movie superhero movie or show or something that I know of, but it's to be just so at the just like obscure, just really, and this is very obscure, but it still slaps the word Justice League of America on it, so it's good enough for uh, my attention. So with that said, let me go on and say that it's about that time again. It is spoil time, spoil time. It's about that time. I'm going to spoil this movie. Let me know in the comments below anything that you like to just state in the comments because it does greatly help out this channel. But hey, at the end of the day, your view is greatly appreciated because you are more than just a view. You are a person. So, let's go on and let's fully break down this movie. I'm going to go on and pause this video here, get out my cast list or whatever I insist to help me out figure out how to say what is to be going on within this entire film, and try to get it within under hour and change bit of thing, but I probably won't because it'll probably take me forever. But logically, yeah, this was interesting. This was interesting nonetheless. There is quite a bit of, I think, the inner monologue stuff where people kind of come on screen, and I don't know if I'm going to go on and remember a lot of that because, in my opinion, just a lot of gibberish, just a lot of just like stuff that I'm like, man, they're just padding this out for time. Like, there's obviously one scene between Adam and Ice where they kind of say like the same thing like twice, or we just have to go on and just say that Adam is just a really nice guy, And they keep saying that throughout, like, first thing that Adam pops up in this movie and says, like, yeah, I'm a really nice guy. And then later on, he's like, well, maybe I could be the dark and brooding guy. Like, why does this have to exist within this film? And then we have a point where Ice is turning to Adam. And it's like, well, yeah, uh, like I think that Adam is a really nice guy. And then Adam's like, yeah, I'm a nice guy. Like, we've already heard this 5 or 6 times now. And then they say it again, and like, good God, like, come, like, you gotta say something more about Adam than just this generic bullshit. But like, yeah, like that's the only irksome things. Like, we get a little bit of backstory with Fire in this thing, that I did enjoy, where they kind of briefly went into her inner thoughts, and we were talking about how she had gone on, to, I think, one Christmas or holiday or something, and had accidentally burnt her own house down, and realized she had come in to be a fire starter, or a person who was to kind of light things on fire, and like, ooh, yeah, all right. So, so yeah, so they give like Fire that kind of little backstory within this. But anyways, uh, let's go on and let's push into breaking this down a little bit more. So let's pause here. Let's get everything I need to get out, without a doubt. All right, everybody, time for breakdown. So Tori pops up at the very beginning of this movie and is to state how exciting she is about joining the superhero team. She didn't think that it would ever happen to her. La 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 la. A lot of filler stuff here. So, stating that this is going to be the new recruit, yada yada. Like, and they go on and they in these inner monologues and be like, "Man, like I didn't think she was going to join the team. Yeah, I didn't think she was going to. Yeah, like it's a lot of that going on within this entire thing. But so past that, we get the credits here, the opening credits, and I liked how they started this movie off. Oh, also, I probably should have said that the movie that is to be on like the website on Google, it's at a very low, like 320 or something P level or something, or so it's like very like gritty, or very poorly like quality. So I probably should have said that, but it's far too late to say that now. um but yeah, but at least I said something. So it's very poor quality, but if anything, it's the movie, you can see it good enough. And then by all means, if you were to come to find some way to actually buy this film on an eBay, or something, like maybe it's presented somewhere as a copy of a bootleg version of it somewhere, then check it out. But until then, I'm talking about this movie on a Google thing that I saw. So, but anyways, we get the opening credits here. We see the clouds that are reflecting on these skyscrapers and these buildings, and I thought that that was a really cool, interesting visual way to open up this film. I was like, wow! Like, I was just like wowed about that bizarrely. And so we get to this, meteorological institute, like that's meteorology and so on and so forth. And how they were to go on and pick this building, I'm like, man, they picked this pretty interesting building that I was like wowed about. So we make our way into meeting Dr. Eno right away here. Dr. Eno bumps into one of his scientists, who is Dr. Hopney, and the two of them start talking about I believe the senator fundraising thing. And Dr. Eno is to tell Hopkey, it's like, well, hey, like you're to have this experiment that you're working on. How about you go on and you bring this experiment to this fundraiser to show it off? And Hopkey's like, really? And Eno's like, yeah, you've been working really hard. Bring it to the fundraiser. And Hopkey's like, great, I'll definitely bring it in. And so Tori goes on and bumps into Dr. Eno here. It's like, wow, like I just overheard you talking to the scientist about what you just did there. And I was just like, wow, like you're really nice. And Dr. Eno's turning to Tori. It's like, well, yeah, he's been working really hard. Why don't I go on and just kind of reward his hard work by just having that being done? So both Dr. Eno and both Tori are just starting to talk here. And so, in all honesty, like, you aren't quite sure if these people are to really absolutely know one another really well or not, but it just seems that Dr. Eno, the more and more he talks to Tori here, that the two of them become like fast friends, and then eventually the later and later we get in the film, like Eno says to Tori, it's like, well, hey, you're the only one that has ever uh like believed in me, so if anything, I'm gonna believe in you. And in the later half of the movie, Eno presents Tori with this promotion of being this like backer to Dr. Eno. And even at some points, Eno is to turn to Tori and be like, hey, how about you and I? How about we work together? And yeah, like that ends up going on to be fairly interesting when that kind of plays out, when I kind of go on and kind of go into this movie more. So we then transition here just randomly, it seems, to just Barry Allen, who they state he's the Flash, and then they state he's unemployed. Wow, what a way to really quickly throw Barry Allen under the bus, film. So Barry Allen goes on to his inner thoughts and monologues as we then go on to find that he's getting thrown out of his building because he is to be behind on rent. And so all these items are getting thrown out of his balcony, and I think we end up getting to see a VCR kind of being thrown on the ground. And so Barry is trying to get all his items. He's like, "Come on, like I'll get the rent, like my job, blah, 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 blah." And like the guy's like, "Hey man, like sorry, like uh." So he's just tossing all this out, and so Barry goes on and gets an alert that there is a crisis to be going on, so he has to run away. He has to run off. So we then go on to Guy Gardner here, who looks like Kyle Rayner, but he's Kai. He doesn't have the bowl cut, no red hair, no. He's Guy Gardner. He's Guy Gardner. So Guy Gardner is to be stated as a software salesman. Where did they come up with that? Where? What Guy or Green Lantern story does that come from? Out of nowhere? Makes sense. So they say that it's Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, and I'm confused. No, I'm just so Guy goes on and states here how when Guy looks at Barry, he sees that Barry's life is very simple, whereas Guy's life is very complex. Well, yeah, if he's a software salesman, yeah, his life is very complex. How stupid of a bit of dialogue is that? But also, like, we don't really get into what actually Guy does for a living, so we don't really see how complex it is. Like, we can see that, yeah, like, a Green Lantern's life is very complex because he's a space cop that is to be having to do missions like all around the galaxy, solar system, whatever. Somebody needs a cat down Milky Way, then Guy needs to go on and act. So yeah, Green Lantern's life is very complex because he has a much more complex power set than Barry Allen does. All he does is he's a speedster. But in my opinion, Barry can also go back into. Barry has a lot of. He can do a lot of things with his speedster power. Believe me, he hands and he can phase through things. Yeah, I know about Flash. Believe me. Uh, I'm not trying to throw Flash under the bus myself. I've seen the shows. I've seen the movies. I'm getting way into the weeds of this. So, Guy is to go on and be trying to get to knock some boots with a girl who is to go by the name Cheryl here, which I knew I wasn't going to go on to remember that name whatsoever. So Guy is going on to have this bunny and these flowers, and is to have this violinist, uh, two guys going on and playing the violins. And so Guy is trying to go on and having the best possible day he can with Cheryl, because he probably has to go on and make up for the number of times that he had probably gone off and done some Green Lantern missions. So now we're back with Tori here in her inner monologue thing, whatever she says here. So, but then we cut to Tori, who is to be watching on this computer screen this geographical new metropolis weather pattern that is going on here. And so Tori is to have to go on and show this to Dr. Eno, just be like, hey, yeah, like there's like a real weather crisis that is kind of going on, that is coming our way here. And Tori's to also tell Dr. Eno about this weatherman villain that is on the telly here. Or I think either Dr. Eno or Tori is to like come up with a with stating about how this guy is making these lavish weather predictions, and how he's kind of like hijacking television and kind of coming up on here and blackmailing the world. So uh and how like Dr. Eno is like, well, yeah, we kind of gotta get somebody on this. We gotta get somebody uh to see like these weather things to try and kind of spot them out and kind of see how powerful they are. So we now go back to Guy Gardner here. He is going on and he is serenading his woman, going on and singing her favorite opera that he knows that she likes. And Guy is to try to swoon this girl, but it's not working. And then, of course, as per usual, Guy also has to leave because there is some software emergency. But really, it's for him to uh, to get out of the suit and tie and get into that spandex. So we then go into BB, who is an actress and who is fire here. BB DaCosta. So Costa here is an actress, of course, if I haven't said that already. And so she has to go on and at first make it seem that her life is all like glitz and glamour and she's getting these high paid jobs, when in all actuality, the first thing we end up seeing her do is that she's playing this like this banana fruit, and she's making her way into this play that is all about these fruits. And so Costa, who's in this banana suit, this ridiculous banana suit, turns who she thinks is some raisin and it's actually a prune. So BB goes on and trips here, and she falls into the arms of a guy named Martin. And so the two of them are to go on and meet, and there's this weird connection that Martin is to have with this girl, where he's like, there's something to this girl that I just gotta figure out. So BB is to go on and have her alarm go off to be like, hey, I gotta bounce. Like, sorry. So she ends up leaving, and Martin is just like, I want me some of that, as she's walking away. So we then have Ray Palmer, the science teacher, who's Atom, and he is to go on and he's to kind of do some inner thoughts here, and then we transition him to be within this science class, and I think he's going on and he's talking about like photosynthesis or something. And so as Adam, or as Ray is talking here, he obviously realizes that his class is completely disinterested in everything that he's actually going on and stating here, because in all actuality, like they are so captivated by the weather that is kind of going on outside, to where then Ray is to have to go on and get his kind of alarm to go off. And so he grabs his blazer from off of this skeleton, and he has this student pitch in called Drazen. And Drazen is like, oh, okay, well, let's continue on with the class. And everybody starts having this ball of paper, chucking it at the student. And he's like, okay, class dismissed, like, get out of here. And so the class disperses. And so we kind of get past that scene. So we I have to take a second here. Uh, we have Dr. Eno and Tori that make their way to the top of their institute building to locate this storm. Eno goes on to realize, oh my god, look at that storm, look how powerful it is. And then we end up getting what any just kind of weird, almost like villainish thing anybody would go on to say about how anything could lead to just having a lot of power being drained from it. Because here's the thing that I was like, this is so weird. Eno goes on and looks at this storm, and he's like, yeah, this storm, like, man, what we can do with this storm to like just power and light the city for a number of period of time and what have you. And I'm just like, really, like, that would just be something a villain would go on and say, for how like how he's looking at anything to be just some kind of power source, and he's looking at this storm, this weather, and how it could be powerful. And I'm just like, okay, all right, like, coolio. So the next thing we see is the team in action here somewhat. So we have this kid who's getting flung around by the weather, by the wind. And so this kid is like holding on to this bench, and this other girl is just kind of getting flung around. It's awesome. And we all of a sudden have this electricity uh, pole that is to go on and seemingly cut out and start to fall over here. And then we get to see Green Lantern in action with his construct as this like kind of weird rope looking thing that is to just wrap around this pole, and it's to direct it into a safe area where no one gets hurt. And then the Green Lantern goes on to grab the kid from the bench and hand him over to the woman that he's with. I don't know if it's mother, older sister, I don't know. But like, so Guy hands this kid over. It's like, hey, all right, like, get to a safe place. So as just wind is just consistently keep blowing around here. So we have these construction workers. They're going on and they're building this wall to go into this building as this building is getting put together. All of a sudden, this wall is to fall upon these construction workers, having them to then be kind of stuck underneath this wall. So fire comes in here to place a hole within the wall for the construction workers to escape from out of it. And so Fire is telling the guys, is like, hey, a lunch break's over, guys. So the next thing we see is an elderly woman who is in desperate need of her cat from underneath this location. And so this old lady, elderly lady, is calling for her cat to be rescued from underneath this ground. So here's where the Atom comes in. I'm like, yeah, the Atom, sure. This seems like a good call. Really? Like you couldn't have got on and tried to like have like the Green Lantern may have gotten like a concern, but if anything, he got his licks in. So let's get Atom to give a shot here. So Atom he goes on, he shrinks down, he goes on to get near the cat and figures out a way to get the cat out. Now the Flash. Flash, of course, because of his power being a speedster, and this storm, this tornado, is to be spinning here. We have the Flash that since this storm has seemingly touched down onto the ground, Flash is trying to counter speed the other way around to have this storm dissipate or to dissolve. And it seems that he's going on and doing a pretty goddamn good job. We have it being shown on this computer visual of him being able to kind of reverse this thing and stop this storm from happening. And we have like Dr. Hopke who's kind of watching on this computer to see what the Flash is doing here. And also the Special News Bulletin is covering it also. So that Flash is doing this. So we have Tori and we have Eno, and they are to go on and realize, like, oh my god, like, crisis averted. Isn't this great? So the Flash is to go on and resolve this storm, and of course the Weatherman is to go on and be put in place to realize that he has gotten defeated. But again, for every villain, they have to go on and do that. I'll get you, Justice League kind of thing, always in every kind of one of these things. Like I'll be back again. Like so. We again cut to Barry Allen and his inner thoughts here. And so Barry goes on and is to now be almost in like a transitionary period where Barry is going to change back into Barry after being the Flash. So, as well as the other guys kind of putting back on their normal kind of street clothes. So we see both Atom, and Flash all talking here. And Flash at one point is stating how like it's really tough for him to go on and find a job, and like he's also really looking for a place to live. And Atom and Guy are just like, hey, see you later. Yeah, like I gotta go. I'm busy. It's like I have crisis. Downtown Milky. See you later, Flash. So so we go on here to have like a homeless person kind of shuck his way out of this kind of trash. He has this beer bottle in his hand, and so he drinks it, and then he kind of fades back out of frame. So I think here's where we have Fire, who's talking about her past and how she had gone on to burn down that house, or have a bit of dialogue here. Or I think there's also a point where she goes on and talks about how like she wishes that her acting career and her being a superhero could like work perfectly together. I think that's one thing that she goes on and says also. But she's like, "Well, hey, I'm happy to have either one or the other happen for me." Anyways, so Costa fire, she makes her way back to this uh this this theater which that was to previously have Fruit of the Looms and fruits and prunes and strawberries and so on and so forth. And by the time that Costa gets back there, the place is almost completely abandoned, with the only person really left there who is to go on and be Martin. Costa is to go on and be like, well, hey, is there any chance that I'm going to go on and still get uh, that part? Could I still audition for it? And someone goes on and speaks up and is a tell Costa. It's like, well, no, I think that I have something better for you, something more worth your time, and this and that. And Martin starts saying all the words that it feels like Costa is to want to hear, this complex character that is to kind of be worth her time. And so this person finally comes out of the shadows and introduces himself as Martin. And it seems that Martin is gonna consistently talk to Costa here to really just try and get to date her. And Costa is going to look at Martin and be like, "Aren't you a little bit young for me?" And Martin's like, "Well, I'm 22 years old." And she's like, "Well, 22 dog years." And so Martin's like, "Yeah, well, like maybe, maybe I'm not old enough for you, but like, um, but definitely I do like you." And so yeah, uh, so and that kind of happens through the whole progression of Martin and BB talking here. We jump around a lot in this film, so I'm going to kind of cover some ground here. So now we make our way to Guy making his way home for a common day in his life. Bizarrely, we have Guy who lives with Ray, and eventually we'll come to find out that he almost lives with almost all of the Justice League. And so, yeah, there's nothing that seems to be unusual with that, but whatever, I guess. If you're trying to create almost a real world like atmosphere with this movie, like you have an entire group that kind of lives together, so it's kind of like the real world. If you also have their kind of inner thoughts being displayed in this movie, so it's really similar to the real world, as well as also putting together a Justice League movie. So Guy is to try to go on and make a phone call to Sherry or Cheryl, his girlfriend, and he ends up calling her, no response. So he's like, Guy is just like, yeah, like I've been trying to call her all day, no answer. Like I think this relationship is not going to work out. So Guy all of a sudden comes home to realize, why is the apartment so clean? He's like, I'm sorry, Ray. When did you have time to clean up here? Like I would go on and not even recognize that I live here because of how just so clean it is and how organized it is. And Ray is like, yeah, about that. There's gonna be somebody living with us. And Guy is like, who? And so come to find out it's Barry Allen. So Guy immediately is looking at Ray and he's like, I don't want this. I don't know. So, like, I'm hugely paraphrasing throughout this whole review, but regardless, like, this is kind of like the clear consensus on everyone's minds here, as well as also just me fast tracking through this as quickly as possible. So, but Barry is going on and putting up like a 7-layer feast for all of them. So he's cooking everything. So like Guy wants to complain or wants to not have Barry living with him, but like as soon as he sees that Barry puts in all this effort, it's just like, God dang it, Barry. So Guy has to just put up with Barry here. So the next thing we see is Tori, Ice. Ice goes on and makes her way through the laboratory and bumps into Hopkey, uh, Dr. Hopkey here. And it seems that Hopkey is kind of rude to Tori here, and because like Hockey is kind of keeping to himself here. Tori's like, like what kind of what kind of a rude guy is this? All right, okay. Well, I'll keep a mental note of that. Who I am to possibly think who the weatherman is. So now we have BB making her way an entrance into the house. So I don't quite think that BB actually lives here, but it feels like she does. But so BB makes her way into the kitchen and is to start to meet and hug up on everybody and so on and so forth. And so BB is asking for somebody to run lines with her, and Guy is looking at Barry. It's like, you're up, Slugger. Like, yeah, you're gonna be the guy who's gonna be doing that because yeah, since you're the new guy living here, yeah, you're gonna take all the crappy tasks. So as we go on, and we have BB who's really wanting to go on and throw some shade into to Guy because it seemed that at some point both Fire and both Guy, like it seems that they are to almost have some kind of real like will they won't they kind of relationship between the two of them, or they have and they don't really have an interest in going at this again. Uh, but like they're really good friends. Like it seems that their relationship, regardless of it kind of being that they're gonna bust one another's chops, like it seems that they're on good terms between the both of them. Like there is no regret of them uh, to have not have had this relationship um, continue, but like they're just good with one another. So, but this leads to Costa going on and asking Guy about his date or his relationship. And Guy is like, oh yeah, like I should probably go on and call Cheryl and see how it's going. So Guy's to go on and call Cheryl again, and he thinks that he's getting Cheryl, but instead he gets the answer machine. And then the next thing that he sees is Guy does is that something was to be dropped off by the doorway, and it was to be a bag that was to be of all the stuff that Cheryl wanted to just give to Guy. So Guy starts pulling out of this bag and he sees this bunny. And Costa's like, really? You did the same thing to that girl as you did to me with the sad bunny thing? Like, how dare you, Guy? So back with Tori here. So Tori is going on in the science lab and being a bit of a klutz. Yeah, perfect thing for a scientist to be a bit of a klutz here. So Tori is going on and just dropping what looks like some balls down on the ground. She's trying to go on and retrieve said balls, and she goes on to accidentally. Um, well, she tries to push this thing, and then she bizarrely kicks it. So I guess it's not really accident. It's like accidentally on purpose. She goes on to find this hidden secret area of briefcase, and she pulls this briefcase out, and she opens this briefcase, and here's what is to go on and bizarrely give her these superpowers that makes her go on to be able to start to freeze things as she gets near them. So Tori goes on and touches this science large test tube, and it freezes. Tori touches this door, it freezes. Tori goes on to make her way just out and about, and all of a sudden she goes on and finds this uh, skateboarder. Yeah, skateboarder, and he is making his way through the streets of Metro, and he goes on to accidentally fall within the water. For some reason, I guess this guy can't swim, so Tori has to go on and figure out a way to save said guy. So Tori goes on to make her way into the water, And as soon as she puts her feet into the water, it seems that the water is to all of a sudden freeze. And for some reason, they go on and they have a news bulletin that is to state that this guy was saved from drowning, and because bizarrely the water had turned to ice. And so it's like, okay, is that really saving? Whatever. Like also like it seems that a lot of people were to think that Tori had something to do with this guy being, yeah. So it could have been a freak thing, whatever. But anyways, so the next thing we see after some Ray Palmer inner dialogue here, Guy was to go on and want the TV fixed. And so Guy was hoping that Barry was going to fix the TV because, like, well, hey, since he's a new guy, he gets the crappy tasks. Like, maybe he can fix the TV. And you would think the science guy, a guy like Adam, would be able to fix the TV. And so he does. Adam shrinks, goes inside the TV, and is to start to put these wires together. And he ends up electrifying himself. And so then Adam tells Costa, hey, how about you unplug the TV while I'm touching these wires? You think? Yeah, that would be pretty smart here. So Adam, who is now to go on and seemingly have these burnt uh, bits of shirt here, and he's to look like he had kind of been through some things. They end up just turning around and just calling a TV repairman, just so we waste time here. So the TV repairman goes on and is to ask Gary or Barry Allen the Flash for a stick of gum. So he gives up the stick of gum. So the repairman goes on and he takes the gum and he takes the aluminum foil piece and he places it within the TV. And Cost is like, okay, is that a legitimate fix? Like, that just seems like you're slapping a band-aid on this. And he's like, no, like, it's a miracle effect. It's a it's like he ends up going on and calling it a miraculous thing that they end up kind of doing in a callback later to what that guy had said to do, because they do the exact same thing with the submarine later on, and so they recall that later on because they do the exact same thing with the whole bubblegum aluminum foil thing into the submarine to get the door to open up so they can evacuate the submarine later on in the film. So they turn on the TV and they're watching the breaking news. So the breaking news is to go on and cover the wild weather that has been going on here. But then also they cover the Tori story where the guy had been frozen into the pond and Tori had been there and so on and so forth. And the team is all watching on of this news coverage. So the next thing we go on and see as the moon or as the sun is starting to get to sundown, we have Tori that's within her bed, and she gets awakened by there being a medical kind of gas masky thing kind of going over her face, as if she had been chloroformed or something, and she is to just be wakened up, just be chloroformed, and then go back to sleep. So she is now to go on and be in this chair with a voice talking to her. We'll find out that this voice is to actually be Martian Manhunter. And so Martian Manhunter, of course, is to have the ability to read thoughts and has a number of slew of other powers, but his weakness is fire. But anyways, so Martian Manhunter is talking to Ice as if she if he is to, of course, know her, and is to know her power set, and knows that she had already gone on to save a person and could possibly be willing to join their team, yada yada yada. So, but Martian wants Ice to show her power so that way he can understand it, as well as Ice realizing that she has some kind of power. So Martian is to go on and tell Ice to focus on this glass that has this water within it. So Ice goes on to seemingly focus on this water and is to seemingly freeze it or make it seemingly has some kind of unique ability to it. And so we have Tori that is to go on and is to pass back out here. And so the team surrounds her and is to just be like, well, okay, all right, like so, like they start kind of talking to one another about her, and like they realize that like they could probably use her for the team, but like her powers are just kind of very raw right now. So yeah, so uh anyways, like there is like, okay, we know that this girl exists and that she has some kind of power. Yeah, so at least they seemingly can go on and know that this person exists. So moving on here. So Tori is in her bed and she is seemingly now frozen in her bed, and she is to wake up and she's to be fine. So she was dreaming about her being frozen in place. So she had this weird nightmare that she froze herself. So the next thing we see is that Barry Allen is working at a mailbox place, a postal service of sorts. And so Barry goes on to do this postal service gig, and come to find out this guy is to deliver all this mail so quickly that the other postmen are to just be like, well, hey man, aren't you done with all your deliveries? And Barry's like, yeah, I'm already done already. And the rest of the postmen kind of go to one another like, hey guys, like we're definitely gonna have a meeting about this guy because we're probably gonna have to figure out a way to get rid of him because like, hey, he's too good at his job. Like so back at the institute, we have Tori who is to go on and speak with one of her coworkers about having lunch later or something of those means. So eventually this is to go on and push to Tori, who again goes on and is to start talking with Dr. Eno here. After uh, kind of having Tori and both Eno kind of interact with Hopkey here, the other scientist. So Eno is talking to Tori here, and he's like, all right, like, you know what? Like, we have to figure out who this weatherman is. And I think the only logical place that this guy would probably be located within, um, like, thinking of, like, just this guy, like, having the power of the weather, like, maybe it's to probably be maybe even in this institute, maybe it's to possibly have some suspicions of who this guy could be. So Eno is going and directly asking Tori, it's like, hey, do you have any suspicions of who possibly the weatherman could go on and be? And Tori is like, well, you know what? Like, Dr. Hopkey has been fairly suspicious lately. Like, you know what? Like, I don't know. Like, he's very reserved, kind of keep to himself, and so Doctor Eno's like, okay, all right, I'm like, okay, Tori. So Doctor Eno goes on and gets this science lab coat on, and it seems that he's starting to shimmy and struggle a little bit. And so Tori's like, Dr. Eno, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. But we'll come to find out that this is not Dr. Eno, that it's Martian Manhunter under disguise as Dr. Eno, as Dr. Eno is making his way into the institute. So, and I think they had gone on to state that they hadn't seen, or one of the persons, I think Tori ends up asking Hockey ends up asking Tori if either one of them had gone on to see Dr. Eno yet. I'm like, no, I haven't seen him today. And then they see him, and that's where Hockey, I think, ends up talking to Dr. Eno. But anyways, pushing on here. So the guy who we think is Dr. Eno, but is actually Martian Manhunter, goes on to see the legitimate Dr. Eno. So Martian Manhunter, to lesser confuse things here, he goes on to walk off to the side here so that way Dr. Eno doesn't see him coming, or doesn't see himself. So Martian Manhunter kind of just bends over the side here, and there's this woman and child that walk by, and they notice that that Dr. Eno's hand is starting to turn green here, because we come to find out within this movie, as Martian Manhunter has to like go on and state, that he can become other people, but only for a certain amount of time. So he's kind of like the Liam Neeson Dark Man, where he can go on and he could like disguise himself as another person, or even have their actual voice, but probably for only a limited time. Because I guess logically you probably wouldn't have that kind of thing within this story to have it be a full benefit of him to be able to do this however long. But yeah, but that's not the definitive Martian Manhunter thing. He can go on and be anybody for like a whole entire lifespan if that's what he needs. He's gone on to be under the alias and disguise of a number of people through a number of projects, and a lot of them to be the animated ones. If you've seen like the Justice League New Frontier thing, he was under the alias of a detective, I believe. But anyways, I'm kind of getting into the weeds of other things. So, pushing on here. So we have Fire, who makes her way to her Agent Sparky, and the building ends up reading like Sparkman Agent or Agency or something like that, or no, it's Sparkman Talent. Yeah, Sparkman Talent is what it says, I believe. So Sparky goes on and is talking to Costa here, and she is to have gotten a glowing recommendation from somebody, and that uh, this is going to be like, all right, this is going to be a big opportunity. This person is really interested in you, Costa. Like you've made it, kid. Like, all right, and so, like, so much so that the agent wants to like break bread with Costa here, and how he's just so happy that it seems that she's landed something, and it feels like they want to share beers or something together. Where like Sparky is just like, yeah, like I don't meet every day where I get a glowing recommendation like that from you. So hey, like you're a star, kid. So as Costa walks out of this agency after going on, I'm like, yeah, I got this gig, huzzah! Immediately then afterwards, Costa is to bump into Martin, and then she realizes that the gig that she had landed was just a gig with Martin, who is to kind of just say something to this agency to lie, to just go on and probably get some alone time with Costa here, as Martin is still trying to press Costa with trying to date her, trying to be with her, or trying to get to her, whatever. So Martin is to also hand Costa uh, this thing that she had kind of misplaced from before, And it might have been her headshot, it might have been any number of things, it might have been her resume. And so he wanted to give this at least back to her. And so, yeah, so then we go on to transition back to Guy's inner thoughts. And then we have Guy with Cheryl. And so they're going on to have some time where they're together. So we have Guy with Cheryl, and the two of them are kind of bickering about Guy being this software salesman and kind of just going on about one another. And so as Guy is to go on and hand Cheryl this ice cream cone and or gelato or whatever this is, and the two of them are to kind of share a bit of ice cream together. Oddly enough, we go on to have the weatherman who is interrupting our usual broadcast to go on and give another weather report that he is to go on and want to present a bit of a halo. And so we go on to find that the weatherman is to create yet another storm, a storm that presents heavy amounts of hail. So hail is pelting down here. And so Cheryl is going on like, oh my god, I'm getting pelted with hail. So, but she's kind of under her umbrella here, so she's almost fine. But so both Guy and both Cheryl are trying to get to a better source of cover so they won't get pelted with hail. Even the umbrella that they were under wasn't exactly safe. Guy is also to run off because he's going to go on and change into Green Lantern, but he doesn't want to go on and like reveal his identity to Cheryl. So he has to go on and he has to figure out a way to just try to run away kind of from Cheryl, but to like, hey, I downtown Milky Way, I gotta go. But like, he's trying to go on and have him and Cheryl try to run off here, but Cheryl ends up falling and she is starting to get pelted by hail. And so Guy realizes like, dude, I gotta go. I gotta run. So Guy runs off to get his ring to come back for Cheryl and constructs an umbrella to cover Cheryl and to grab Cheryl. And so Cheryl is looking at Guy and is like, well, I guess chivalry isn't dead. Like, why can't my boyfriend be more like you, Guy? Or more like you, Green Lantern? And Guy is like, well, I'm sure he probably is. Or I'm sure he probably can be. Like, yeah. Because you just don't know that I'm freaking Guy Gardner. That's what he should have said. He should have just revealed his secret right then and there. Like, you can't really tell that I'm freaking like Guy Gardner. I don't have hypnotic masks like Clark Kent has hypnotic glasses. But whatever, you should be able to at least see my cheekbones or something, right? Like, how long have we been dated for? No. Anyways, so Guy is to have an umbrella construct protecting Cheryl, and we then see in the background Barry appear and Adam appear in their suits, and they're both Adam and Flash. And what then occurs then is Fire comes into the frame here, and she is to be using her flame like ability to snuff out the hail, because of course, like, fire against ice makes sense here. Like, so she's going on to use, like, because I guess she flies here. Yeah, flies. So Fire goes on and is to kind of snuff out this storm. And again, the heroes are to save the day yet again. So the next thing we go on to do here is we have the Justice League who makes their way back to their home, where John here, or Martian Manhunter, I'll call him John, or John. Makes the most sense to just call him John. Uh, John Jones, John. MM. Green dude. Alien. Anyways, just a little joke. So, just saying words at this point. That guy. Not Guy Gardner. That guy. No. Moving on. So, over the TV, uh, Manhunter is going on and giving the team kind of their next task, their next objective. Going on and stating that the Eno Institute is to have a fundraiser, and the team needs to figure out a way to get inside that to possibly go on and intercept Doctor um, uh, uh, Science Guy. uh, F. Hopkey. My bad. Hopkey. Because I couldn't figure out his freaking name because I don't really say it enough. Hopkey. Because they have suspicions that Hopkey could go on and be the one who is to be the weatherman. So the team has to go on to make their way to get to this guy who they have suspicions of. And also, Manhunter is turning to Ray to like, well, hey, it seems that you're to be the science guy, and yeah, you know enough about computers, even though technically Guy is to be a software salesman. Software, shouldn't that be computers? Shouldn't honestly Guy be able to just have a construct where he has like a USB where he like hacks into the computer and just gets all the that he needs? Like his ring could like hook into the computer and get all the that he needs and just download it onto his ring. That would make a lot of sense. But no, they have Ray go on and he's the computer guy, it seems. Moving on. So Martian does his pecking orders, and he's like, okay, back to your regularly scheduled program, Justice League members. So Barry Allen is all of a sudden, and God, like Barry Allen, I think may go on and probably be more of like out of anybody, maybe like the comic relief here, but his comic is just so crappy. But so Barry Allen all of a sudden is watching these infomercials and he's really into all of them. He's like, oh my god, this item. Oh my god, that item. Oh my god, I need to find the 1-800 phone number so I can call and get these items. Because this guy is unemployed, I guess, but like it seems throughout this entire movie, but he needs to get these infomercials that he's so interested in. So we have a mini tackle box that he's so interested in, and it's some caster thing. And so we go on here to have Fire, who is to get this page that said you would call me Martin. Or you said you'd call Martin. So Cost is like, well, hey, I'm out of here. I know what I got to do. And so and Guy and Costas start bickering here, and they start to talk about how they're seemingly both total opposites, and how when Ray is to kind of say, "Hey, which tie should I wear?" The two of them pick the very opposite tie because, of course, they do. Uh, so I know that there's an inner dialogue between Guy, Fire, and Barry here, but I have no idea what it exactly is about. So pushing on here. So we're now to the party or the fundraiser. So we have to realize going into this party that the Justice League has to figure out how to get into it because they have to have invitations and they don't. So what happens is that Guy is to go on and pickpocket one of these people for their invitation as he uses this construct to poke the guy in the shoulder as he kind of looks off to the side. Guy goes on and is to use his construct to get the invitation out of this guy's uh, blazer pocket to have in his own. So I was like, okay, that's a pretty good use of this construct. Yeah, it's a beneficial way to have construct at least. If we're like, I'm like, great. Like, we don't have to have them do it in a very cheap way. But so we have the guy who's kind of like the security guard, kind of asking people invitation. And so Casa goes on and says to this guy, "Oh, well, my girlfriend has her invitation inside. So can I go in after her?" And the security guard is like, "Oh yeah, go on, go ahead." I'm like, really? So Guy goes in and he hands the one that he stole, of course. And then Barry has to go on and figure out how he can get in. And so he starts looking through his suit and he's like, ah, gee, golly, ooh, ah. And so Barry goes on and he flips this coin. The security guard notices the coin. And Barry does his speedster thing and speeds into the building as both Costa and Guy feel him speeding next to them. And so Costa's like, I hate it when you do that. So Ray, because he can kind of fit in a purse, he is to be in Costa's purse. So Guy is to make a joke about Ray being in the purse, and so Ray's like, I heard that. So we go into this party, and Tori is talking uh, of course, Eno here. And here's where we get Eno talking to Tori about, like, well, hey, you know what? Like, you've been such a supporter of my work for a long time. How about I go on and give you a promotion? Like, you'll be my head researcher. And, like, especially once this funding comes in, because I feel that it'll come in because this senator will definitely back us. And then later, Eno will go on to find this spokesperson for the senator, and Eno goes on to ask this guy, it's like, well, hey, where is the senator? And the guy's like, yeah, senator's not coming. So I don't think he's probably going to fund your operation. So yeah, later days. And Eno's like, oh, what? Like the senator's not coming. So yeah, they're not going to get the funding that they want. So that's where Eno would probably go on and blackmail the world for $20 million. $20 million. Anyways, so back with Tori and Eno here. So Tori and Eno are talking about her promotion. It's like, well, yeah, as soon as we get this funding, I'm going to give you this promotion. And like, so how about we celebrate? And Tori's like, yeah, let's celebrate. And all of a sudden, Tori looks at the glasses that they're going to go on and grab from. And she's like, yeah, how about I go on and just kind of get out of here? Like, I gotta be somewhere. I gotta be somewhere to be. And so Eno looks at the glasses and realizes that every single one of the glasses were all frozen. He's like, oh, I don't know. So as Tori leaves, Eno is going on and doing um, some stuff around to be like, hey, yeah, make sure he eats something. Make sure you make this. Blah blah blah. Uh, he's throwing all kinds of management like priorities through, and I really liked Miguel here. It's so sad to have heard that he had gone on to pass away because this guy was such a really good actor in my opinion. Seeing him in stuff like RoboCops and even in like very small roles like Iron Man 3s, and like I always really liked this actor. And to see him in this role, I'm like, makes sense. because he can go on and play a really nice guy, and also he can probably play another side of the sword here. So we also have Ino and I believe Hopkey that is talking briefly here, and Hopkey is going on and asking about like, well, hey, should I do my when should I do my presentation of my experiment? And it's like, yeah, about that, like let's next that. And Hopkey's like, what? So, but Hopkey is to go on and bring his experiment to Eno's place, and is to want to drop it off there, uh, because just Hopkey just wants somebody to see this experiment. So, uh, both Barry and Guy are talking here, and they're asking if they've kind of seen anything yet, if they spotted Hopkey, I believe is what they're kind of focused on. So the two of them separate, and so Barry's talking to one of the waiters about like, hey man, like, do you have a job here? Is there? And so we have the waiter who's like, well, are you a scientist? And Barry's like, well, yeah, of course I'm a scientist. I'm an anthropologist. And so he's trying to get a job here, and it's like, dude, like, I'm gonna walk away. So Barry's like, okay, well, like, call me. So I think we have Tori here in her inner thoughts talking about the one time that she'd gone on and had a date with somebody where she accidentally had kissed someone, and she had like frozen her and their lips together, and so Tori had to go on and figure out a way to unfreeze this person. And so, like, so did she reveal her secret identity to said person? Like, were the two of them both superheroes, and so it didn't matter? Like, I don't know why Tori had this story. It's very weird, and I don't know if this story exactly happened yet. But regardless, let's move on here. So Raymond and Tori are kind of alone here. So Tori goes on and bumps into Ray, and so the two of them start talking. And so Tori is talking about how she feels just kind of so isolated or so alone, and how probably no one will go on and understand her, and da 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 da. And so Ray is to go on and say, it's like, well, you know what, I could probably relate to that. And it's like, oh yeah, you can. So the two of them are to go on and kind of shake hands here, and Ray is to kind of introduce himself to Tori here. And so Guy goes on to meet up with Ray. It's like, hey, like you and me, like we kind of have a bit of work to do here. And he's like, oh, okay, all right, all right. Well, hey, it was nice meeting you, and they kind of bail here. So Guy uses his Green Lantern construct to make this key to open up this door, and it seems to not exactly work. So Ray ends up just taking a credit card to open the door, and he's like, "Yeah, never leave home without it." And Guy is like, "Really? Come on." So Guy goes on and is just supposed to be the man, like, kind of waiting at the door while Ray goes on and does what he needs to. But Guy accidentally bumps into Cheryl, and he gets completely distracted, which makes sense. So story wise, for how like Guy is going to completely forget about what he's supposed to really be doing there, as he's so focused on Cheryl, and either trying to win her back or realize that he needs to just figure out a way to just kind of even things out when we get to what happens here. So here's where Ray goes on and he says, yeah, I can be a tough guy too. Yeah, yeah. Whatever, Ray. So we have Ray that has this laser pointer, and he finds this door that uh has all these kind of lasers to, like, if he walks through the door, alarm will go off. So Ray becomes tiny to go through the lasers as he bizarrely does this bit of limbo as this joking thing. So Ray gets into the computer system and is to find out that this password is to just be big or red sky. Yeah, red sky. So Ray gets into the computer as Guy has made his way into finding out that Cheryl is to not be alone at this fundraiser, as it seems that she is to be with a guy, I believe his name is Peter. Peter. Anyways, so Guy is to want to go back and try to talk to Cheryl, but realizes that he cannot because she has moved on. So Guy is to just be awkwardly, as he is to be with Cheryl here. Cheryl is to look at Guy. It's like, oh, so did you come with somebody? Like, you shouldn't probably have come without somebody, Guy, right? Like, you should have like. So all of a sudden, Costa, fire here. She swoops in and saves Guy. Nice move, Costa. She goes on and grabs Guy. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, honey. Yeah, like, like, you know what? Like, I'm sorry to kind of pull him away from you guys so quickly, but like, I really need him over here. And so Guy tells Costa, it's like, thank you for saving me, and she's like, yeah, you know, like, I felt so bad that you were caught in that position, so I'm gonna help you out here. So like, yeah, there's still something there between the two of them. Maybe they can make it work. So uh, so now transitioning here after the whole like Eno not finding out about the funding working out, blah blah blah. So because Guy is no longer near anywhere close to Ray holding the fort of that door anymore, Tori finds out that Ray is to have made his way into this computer and hacked into it, and Tori goes through the secure door to ask what exactly Ray is doing on this computer. And Ray is to turn and tell her, hey, you need to see this yourself and realize what your people are doing here. And so Tori is to go on and completely like forget that Ray exists, is to look at the computer herself and realize that there is a machine of a weather manipulator. And she is to be like, oh my god, somebody is going on and being the weatherman within this institute. Yeah, there were some suspicions, but now we can really have real hard evidence that someone is to be the weatherman within this institute, and someone has made this weather manipulator machine of sorts. So Tori crosses the barrier, alarms go off, security guards make their way to that room, and Costa turns to Guy here. It's like, hey, weren't you the one who is manning that door? Guy's like, yeah, about that. Whoops. So Ray turns so tiny that no one sees Ray as they run by to secure this room. And so Ray goes back large again and is like, do, 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 I'm going to get out of here. So the security guards go to Tori and there's to say, like, oh, I didn't know it was you, Tori. They're like, all right, well, like, and so Tori is like, oh yeah, I flipped the alarm by mistake. My bad. I'm sorry. And so like, oh, okay, well at least it was you. Okay, all right. So we now come to find Hopkey, who has this big, massive box making his way into his car, and the Flash follows him. So Hopkey goes on and delivers this box in front of what I believe would be Eno's house. And so the Flash goes on and is to grab Hopkey and is like, hey, what is this box? What are you doing here? What's in the box? So Flash goes on, opens the box, and realizes, as Hopkey is to state, that it is to go on and be this experiment. And it seems that this experiment is to go on and be harmless. And Flash is to call on to the entire team of like, yeah, it's not Hopkey, it's somebody else. So let's go on and let's figure out who the Weatherman could possibly be here. So Tori, making her way into the Institute the way she does at night here, it seems that she is to go on and figure out who exactly the Weatherman is to actually be here. As Tori, as she's making her way through the Institute at night, comes on to stumble on that Eno is pre-taping some Weatherman skits, but bizarrely, Eno is not at all wearing at all the Weatherman costume whatsoever. He's just wearing his suit and tie, and I'm baffled and confused by this. I'm like, so does Eno go on and make these pre-taping things and then just like Photoshop it after the fact? Like, is really the Weatherman's disguise that forcibly elaborate that he cannot go on and have the Weatherman get up? But I guess it's just the like it I guess has to be the reveal of understanding that Eno is the Weatherman by him just stating these things that he is to seemingly sound like, but it just does not look good. It looks dumb. So Tori is to go on and notice Eno is the Weatherman, so I can go on and call him the Weatherman through the rest of this. Yeah, great. So, because I revealed that. So, Eno, Weatherman, notices Tori and he's like, oh, she caught me. So, Tori makes her way back to this door to try to escape. Eno chases after her, and Eno tries to get to uh, Tori and tries to follow suit and ends up getting his hands frozen. I'm not quite sure if Tori ends up freezing the door as Eno tries to grab it and then also accidentally freezes his hands in the process, or he just freezes his hands via Tori in some capacity. But anyways, Tori goes on to, I think, again freeze attack Eno as Eno goes on to offer Tori a working relationship between the two of them, because Eno is to realize that Tori has these freezing powers, and he's like, you know what, like, you have these freezing powers, I'm the Weatherman, like, if the two of us work together, and Ice is looking at Eno, it's like, dude, I'm not Killer Frost. I don't think you know exactly who I am in the comic book world, but I'm not Killer Frost or any of these other Ice villains. I'm Ice, the superhero, so I'm sorry, Weatherman, but that's a no. So, and maybe Ice may have gone on and had some kind of seemingly history with her being a villain, but I doubt it because I'm getting confused with either Killer Frost or any number of other kind of ice villains at some point. Icicles and what have yous, but no. Um, but yeah, ice, yeah, not a villain, I don't believe. So, you guys can correct me in the comments because you know all about comic books. It's okay. At the end of the day. If you're very familiar with these characters, it's very helpful. It's cool. So, because I'm not, all I know from Fire and Ice is just Justice League Unlimited. That's all I know them from. It's not another true, legitimate, longevous history. This is going on for too long. Moving on here. So, we have the following morning, Ray is going on and speaking with Barry. It seems that he's doing some ironing, and so Ray is to find out that Barry is to scribble down on paper a resume and say all the attributes that he's to go on and have. It's like, well, does a job connect to any of these? Yeah. The resume, not looking good. Even Guy is to kind of look at it and just be like, yeah, Gary, or yeah, Barry. I don't think that's going to work out. So, Tori somehow finds out where Ray Parker lives. Don't know how this happens. Like, it seems like maybe she used to have over or found out that from talking to Ray that maybe he's a science teacher and at some bit of dialogue somewhere. And so Tori just tracks Ray down here. So finds out where he lives. That's just strange. But anyways, she figures it out. So Tori goes on and is to confront and talk to Ray about like, well, hey, do I think I can like can I really trust you? Because I have some bit of information here that I could like it could really just really be of use of and so we as Ray is to go on and talk here, he's like, well, hey, I'm in law enforcement. And Tori's like, well, really? All right. So Tori goes on and spills the whole beans about everything to Ray, it seems. And so in the inner thoughts here, we have both Tori and we have Ray here, and the two of them are talking. And I'm sure this is probably about the whole nice guy thing because we start that whole inner monologue thing again. And we also have at a point where Ray is to say how like he likes how he had gone on to find a woman like Tori to kind of relate to at some points in the inner thoughts of let's fast track this. So BB Costa Fire, she is going on to do some lunges at this bit of steps here, and she's going to get interrupted by probably her morning jog or whatever, simply by Martin, who's again like this guy will not give up. So we have Martin who's throwing everything at Costa here by saying it's like, well, hey, I bet you love long walks on the beach, and like I think that you like these earrings, and like I'm gonna give you a sweater, and because you might get cold later on, because we're gonna go to this play. And Costa's like, what? Like a play? Like that thing's been closed up for months. And Martin's like, I got tickets. And like Costa's like, what? Like Martin, how is it that you just know me so well? Like, God, like you would have thought that like Martin by the end of this would have been revealed as either a superhero or would have been revealed as some villain that he's to go on and just infiltrate the entire Justice League and be revealed as some big baddie for the sequel of this. But no, like Martin is just weirdly this guy that's just so female, like God, what is it called? Like God, I'm trying to think of the word like intuitive. Yeah, I think that's the word, intuitive. Like he knows what women wants. He knows what women want. He's the Mel Gibson what women wants guy. That's he just knows their thoughts, and he just has just the ability to figure out a way to shower them with love and romance and ninja style. Anyways, pushing on. So but the focus here is that Martin is giving Fire these specific earrings. That's the big focus here. These gold earrings. So the next thing we see is that there's this news report about how Fire had gone on to change this bit of weather into just this this mudslide of a thing, but it's gone on to be completely okay. Fire saved the day here, and so the news covers Fire, and they appreciate what she's gone on to save the day, and like good on her. We have the rest of the Justice League that are seemingly in the background here, who are to just kind of be in the background, and so uh, we also have Tori, who is also to be here with this group, and they are to go on and make the clear consensus that they need to bring Tori in for her to have the initiation of her going on and finding out that she needs to be one of these Justice League members. So the next thing we see is Tori being blindfolded all the way to this location, uh, to this door, through this elevator, and down to this submarine. And so Tori goes on to make her way into the sub. She gets her blindfold taken off, and the first thing that she sees is Eno, and she's like, "What? Huh? You guys are working for him? Huh?" And so, like, no, 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 like, you got it all wrong. And so Eno then turns into who he actually is, who is Martian Manhunter. It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry to confuse you here. Like, I'm actually to go on and to at some points be other people." And so Martian Manhunter goes on and explains himself, and that he had gone on to be a alien from Mars, and how he is to, of course, go on and find his way onto Earth, and all the things that he is to appreciate of the rights the people he is to go on and fight for on this planet, and yada da da da. So Guy, Costa, and Barry here talk about how Martian Manhunter, yeah, he's really this mentor. He's really this father character to all of us. Yeah, he's thumbs up to this guy. So we now have Martin, who's at a very lowish point of realizing that he may never go on and to date Costa uh, because logically the age gap, as well as also just no matter how he tries to butter her up, that she will probably cancel on all their dates because she has superior to do. But so yeah, so Martin for some reason is to go on and be upset, probably because Costa just keeps uh, ducking on his date arrangements, and he's paging her like, "You didn't call." So, oh, also, the guy who plays Martin here, he had gone on uh, to make this to go on and butter Costa up by saying that he's making this French meal that she was to go on and like, and then he talks French, and I'm like, man, like this actor was going to be Martin here. He's gone on in another movie to like swoon a girl by doing Shakespeare. Now in this movie, he's going on and speaking French. Like, god dang, like this actor goes on like he really goes on and really needs to do a lot of legwork here to do a lot of these films. But so but the big thing here is Martin is going on and watching the news coverage and seeing Fire here. And the one pull away from this news report that he's seeing, and he's like, aha, Fire is wearing the exact same earrings that Costa does. So Costa and Fire must be the same person. Oh, they look the same, right? Oh, I figured it out. So Martin is to run off thinking like, "Oh my god, I gotta find Costa so that way I can go on and page her to say that she's Fire, and so that way it'll get her like goad her out for the two of us to have a bit of a conversation." So Tori and Adam have a bit of a talk here. Adam goes on to mention how like his Journey and Tori are very much alike. How Adam was to go on and feel like a freak, and uh, when he was to find out that he had powers while he had made his way to this archaeological dig where he found this crystal, and then he had made his way home and he started to have these powers. And oh, also there was one point where he talked about how at some point, oddly, Adam's body, like some parts of it are to go on and are to shrink, but not the rest of his body. He talked about it. He talked about that at one point within his inner thoughts of this movie somewhere. But anyways, but Adam goes on and is to talk about how like he thought he could not go on and tell anybody about this occurring, or like because he would have just really been outcasted and whatever. So Adam goes on, and all this is to lead up is for Adam to reveal himself to Tori, as Tori is like, well, I don't even know who you are. And so Adam's like, well, you do now, as he takes off his mask and reveals himself to be Ray Palmer. And then Tori's like, oh, yeah, I know you. We talked. So, and then so she's like, ah. So, yeah, she has a big old wide face here. So, the next thing we see is that uh, Tori is trying to control her powers by trying to make this water glass freeze, and instead she makes this dog bowl freeze. And she's like, yeah, that's not what I wanted to do. So Tori then goes on to still try and focus her powers, as there is to be this clear plate that has this drop of water. And so Manhunter is trying to tell Tori to embrace the power, to embrace it with your heart, to embrace it with everything, to embrace it with your lungs, embrace your power with all your body. Come on, just embrace it. Embrace that you have this power. Come on, just fricking do it. So Tori's like, I just can't do it. So all around them, bizarrely, the submarine is starting to get very cold, and like Fire is saying how she's running a fever because of how like cold things are getting, and so a lot of the Justice League members are starting to get sick, and because like the environment is just start to get frozen because ice is not controlling her powers. So Manhunter is telling Tori, it's like, hey, block out all the noise, just embrace the power, just do the thing. Just do the thing I need you to do, god dang it. So just god dang do it. So here is where we go on uh in the aspect of the film, and I think Manhunter and Tori are talking, and I think here's where they have to go on and they have to reveal how everybody had gotten to get their powers. And so Barry tells Tori, it's like, well, yeah, I got my powers also through a lab experiment, so you're not the only one. And so, and then they just say that like Guy found his ring, and then Costa was to be born a fire starter, and so Martian Manhunter's like, well, yeah, like every single one of these people have gone on to like accumulate their power one way or the other, and like so like you're not alone. So uh, so yeah, like it's a lot of that kind of like just trying to say that that Tori like is to have very similar stories uh, to their group, and that's why uh, they wanted her to be on this team. Blah 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 blah. So The weatherman is to go on and give a 7-day forecast, and every single one of it is to be death occurring within this entire week. And so the weatherman is going to again create yet another horrific event, and so he wants his $20 million. And so the Justice League is to go on and realize that, like, well, hey, like, nobody's going to go on and give this guy what he wants. No one's going to negotiate with him. There's no way they can get that money in time. And so we then transition to have Martin meeting up with Costa here. And here is where Martin is to go on and realize that Fire is Costa, because Costa is to have to leave because she had gotten a page. She's like, hey, I gotta go and I gotta deal with this. So Martin is to know who Costa is, it seems, and then they try to figure out a way out of this. So we have Costa. She flips open her little phone so that way Martian Manhunter and the team can hear what's going on between her and Martin. How Martin is to say that he knows the identity of Fire and Costa and so on. So Manhunter is just like, okay, well, deuces, guys, I gotta go and I gotta handle this. So Fire then goes on to appear to be there with Costa because Costa had gone on to tell Martin that Fire had borrowed her earrings. And Martin's like, those earrings were one of a kind. I got them in France. And I was really wanting to go on and give those earrings to someone that I was really think that I was going to fall in love with. Costa's like, oh, well, I'm sorry, Martin, but I just don't think that this is going to happen. So Fire comes in and is to talk to Costa about, hey, like, remember the earrings that I let you borrow? And Costa's like, yeah, I do. And so, like, Martin is like, two of you here, why'd you? And so that is to go on and put the ruse to bed that it's like, well, yeah, like Costa and Fire aren't the same person. So Martin, I guess you were wrong. And also that Costa, uh, or that Fire is not going to lie about her borrowing earrings from Costa, and is to just kind of settle this. Have Martin realize, like, yeah, I guess I had been mistaken because the two of you are here. Who knows? Maybe Costa has a twin sister. Anyways, so Martin is to go on and get his earrings back from Costa, and is to leave. And so Fire and Costa is like, okay, yeah, like, hey, we did it. Like, I think he won't go on and have any suspicions. So now all of a sudden, Costa starts talking like Manhunter. I'm like, man, this dubbing is pretty good. So both Costa and Manhunter as Fire leave here, and so Manhunter turns to Costa. It's like, man, like these pants really chafe. Just kind of having a bit of comedy here. So here is where Eno, I almost said Ernie. Eno comes to Tori and is to ask her about working together. And so Tori denies wanting to work with Eno, and then she tries to escape uh, from the front door, and she freezes Eno and escapes, or freezes quite a bit to where he's harmed but not completely frozen, and escapes. So he gets like a blast of just something upon his bate. So Tori goes on and steals away Ino's briefcase, assuming that Tori had gone on to see this briefcase prior, thinking that this might be the the weather the weather machine, the weather yeah, the weather machine that she is to go on and think that that Ino is to use to destroy the world here. So Tori brings this briefcase back to the Justice League. It's like, hey, like I have Ino's device. Like the world is saved. All right, like we should just go on and just arrest Ino, book him Dano, and just be done with all this. But we come to find out that the Weatherman is to be like, nope. Like, if anything, like I'm still gonna go on, and I'm gonna still create this typhoon and destroy the world, and then also like, bizarrely has this huge, massive laser that is to triangulate exactly where this submarine is because the briefcase that Tori has is just a tracking device. So Tori opens the briefcase, realizes that it's a tracking device. We've been had. And so the submarine ends up getting blasted with this laser from where I'm assuming it's to be from where Ino is, because he bizarrely has these laser weapons. Later on, we'll come to find that he'll have this little medallion that he opens that he uses as a thing to laser through these cuffs so he can escape to eventually be a part of maybe the sequel of this. I don't think he's going to be in the sequel. Bizarrely, they I guess had to say that there could be a Weatherman other movie. No, like man, if this thing would have been hugely successful, then yeah, it's a made-for-TV movie. Come on, guys. So the submarine is getting blasted here, and so now the team has to go on and is like, okay, abandon ship, everybody. Like, we need to get the heck out of here. So, and the whole entire Justice League team is here. So they want to evacuate out of the elevator, but the door won't open. So they're like, what are we gonna do here? So Ray is to go on and tell Barry, hey, give me your stick of gum. And then Ray goes on and is to work the the uh, the the side of the door to kind of rip this panel off and kind of work this door and put in this aluminum foil of this gum to recreate what the TV repairman had done with the TV to have this kind of miracle effect and what have you. And this opens up the elevator for them to go on and escape. And so Manhunter is to go on and tell the team, hey, you guys, you go on ahead. I'll stay in the submarine. Yeah, the submarine is getting very hot in here, but I've gone on and dealt with higher temperatures in Mars. So you guys go on and go ahead. So the Justice League, they go on, they escape their hideout. And so Guy goes on, he uses a construct that is to seemingly helicopter him to where Eno is. And slowly but surely, the rest of the team uh, starts to leave here. Flash, he speeds off. Atom, he shrinks, and then Fire, I think she just flies away. So Tori is like the last one left here. Is like, well, what am I gonna do? So Guy makes his way to Eno here. I want to maybe I should probably just say Lantern here. If I say Lantern, everyone's gonna probably figure it out. Green Lantern, whatever. Anyways, Guy, Green Lantern, whatever at this point. So Lantern makes his way to Eno here, and eventually, what ends up transpiring here is that Lantern is not going to be able to figure out a way to stop this typhoon from happening because Eno is to set off this typhoon that, regardless of what Lantern does, it's not going to stop the typhoon from happening. Uh, so, and eventually, I think the briefcase does get destroyed anyways. So, Guy has to go in and call the rest of the team to say, "Hey, I can't stop the typhoon, so you guys got to come up with something." And you would think that that the Lantern could probably come up with some kind of solution. Maybe he can bring the rest of the lanterns from Oa, like whoever's to be just gonna left, or maybe any of the other Green Lanterns that are on Earth. He could just kind of give them a jingle, and they could stop they could stop the typhoon from coming. They could create a dam with a construct. Any number of things. But I guess if you have a typhoon coming and it's like there's no way to stop, so I don't know. Anyway, pushing on. I'm stupid. So it's just like blah at this point, because 2 hours of talking. So Fire is on the shoulder, or Adam is on the shoulder of Fire here, as Fire is kind of flying. Flash is going to make his way to finding all these young kids that are to be without a parental guardian at this shelter or at this kind of just place nearby. So Barry is going on and starting to grab these kids, and he's trying to speed to find them a safer place for them uh, to end up being safe. And so as Barry makes his way back after getting these kids to safety, he thinks that there's only one kid. Yeah, there's a gaggle of kids. There's a ton of kids. And so Barry's like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to get all these kids out in time. Like, we need to do something. So what ends up happening is Tori is to save the day here, as she's the only saving grace out of this whole entire team. She has to use her powers here. So because there's nothing Guy can do. There's nothing any of the rest of the team can do. Fire can't go on and just flame all of nothing. So Tori is realizing, hey, if I need to use this power, it has to be now. So Tori goes on and has to use her power to freeze the typhoon, and yeah, the team wins this day. Barry's like, yeah, we did it, kid. Yeah, we want, yeah. So, and so then Guy, after realizing that they have won, is to do a bit of construct on Eno, who is trying to escape here. So the next thing we go on and see here is that Tori is to go on and be home alone here, and the rest of the Justice League makes their way into the home as well, and they want her to join the Justice League. They end up having an outfit for her already, and they're like, hey, come on, join the team. All right, yeah. So we also have Guy who's to have his ring have a message of Manhunter kind of congratulating Ice for going on and saving the day here. So Ice is to go on and be like, all right, like you guys have drived a very hard bargain. Like, sure, I'll be a part of your Justice League. So as the rest of the team leaves because they are to go on and have a situation on their own to figure out uh, how to kind of get out of frame here. Guy, I think, is to go on and say that he has I think he has a date or something to worry about. Casa says that she is to meet up with Martin's new girlfriend, who is a cheerleader, and she's 16. And Barry's like, well, I don't know anything about that, or I want nothing to do with that. But Barry is to have, I think, his a job interview or something like that he needs to go to, so he's going to leave. So both Ray and Tori are talking here. And so Tori and talking to Ray, it's like, well, what would have happened if I wouldn't have joined the Justice League? And Ray's like, well, hey, don't think about it. You don't want to know. Because she's like, yeah, I know all your guys' identities. It's like, yeah, like you don't want to know. So the next thing we see is this marshal who's arresting the weatherman. He's like, well, yeah, I got a 30-year forecast for you. You're gonna be in prison. You're gonna do this. Blah, blah, blah. So here's where we go on and we see the weatherman. He's getting into this van. He's getting arrested. He uses his pendant to break his cuffs. So Ray and Tori just kind of have a walk, and they all of a sudden notice these kids are at this hydrant and they're in their swim clothes and they're just kind of, yeah, they're just enjoying the water and the cooling of this hydrant. So all of a sudden Tori goes on and she starts to use her powers to start making the water into snowflakes, and so the snowflakes fall. So Ray and Tori are just like, yeah, you're using your power. All right, great. So the next thing we see that is to finish up this movie is in the Justice League submarine. Tori is going on and having her hand like this to all the Justice League members and doing her whatever her vow or whatever thing is. We don't hear anything that she's going on and stating here. She's just going out like, and the Justice League is like, yeah, say what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, good times, noodle salad. Yeah. So we have Ice that is to go on and to never really suit up in this entire film. But by the very tail end of this movie, as she goes on and she again is to just like how the very beginning of this movie was, like she is to just go on and just kind of say the same similar bit of dialogue that she said at the very beginning of this movie about being a part of this league and like, wow, like I can't believe like I made this team, blah, 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 I can't believe I was chosen, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't know exactly the word for word and phrase for phrase, but anyways, I'm gonna get the frick out of here. So, because the last thing we see is the team is all formed together, all in their getup. They're running into the street, and then the movie just ends. That's where we kind of fade to black here. So I'm gonna go on and fade to black and get the heck out of here. Thank you for going on and listening to this, watching this, or hearing this. However you want to go on and do any of your number of videos, but I'm gonna go on and get the heck out of here so I can upload this, so I can go on and have another video that people could choose to view it however they like. Uh, in the future, any future reviews, I am to just say that I have no idea what I'm going to want to do in the future. I'm sure there are still some staple things that I have in place, but seemingly from day to day, that continues to change. I was thinking that I was going to go on and definitively do one or the other. Certain things that I thought I was going to have planned, and then all of a sudden this came up today. I'm like, well, I'm definitely going to go on and talk about this. So, yeah, this came up. So, yeah, so every single day, they're uniquely coming up with some bit of content that I end up doing. So, who knows what tomorrow will bring. So, I'm going to get that out of here. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.